Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nick on the scene with Martini. Today, I have one of my favorite guitarists in the hardcore scene, Brian Audley with Incendiary and Nite Sports. How you doing today, Bri?
What's up, Nick? How you doing?
Good. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course, man. Thanks for having me.
First, it's always nice to have another Long Island guy. I feel like you just got
Yeah,
to keep growing up the Long Island scene. There's so many guys to get to know and talk to on this, so I really appreciate
there's
it.
yeah, there's an endless supply, and if you need any introductions to any, I'd be happy to make it.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. Incinerary, I mean, you guys have been from the start been killing it. Starting out in like 2013, 2012, kind of first album coming out. Um, like how has the growth been from then to now? I mean, you guys probably for the most part, like every hardcore show, like festival and stuff, you guys are like one of the top on the bill. How's it been like the progression of that?
Yeah, so I would take a step back there, and it's interesting that you cite 2013 because the band's actually been around since like 2007, which is
Oh, okay.
crazy to say
Yeah.
out loud. But to your point, we were not killing it from 2007 to 2013, so we
Yeah.
were not killing it from the start. We played probably more bad shows than, any band would withstand. Many
Hmm.
probably would have just given up by that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, we just love doing it, and would have been doing it whether there was success or not. And it was really kind of a slow burn. But then around 2013, when we released Cost of Living, our
Hmm.
first, or technically our second LP. We had one prior to that, called Crusade. But Cost of Living in 2013, to your point, was really kind of like the AD and BC of the band. Like things were very different once that record came out. That's when I think people started to notice and kind of connect with what we were doing on a more like national and international level.
Hmm.
Up until that point, we were starting to do pretty well at home. We were getting some cool opportunities to go out to the West Coast. We had been to Europe once already, by that time, on some DIY touring. But once Cost of Living came out, I really think that kind of raised our profile and gave us some confidence that people outside of some of the scenes that we grew up in were starting to take notice and be down with what we were doing.
That's sick. And I didn't even realize because I was just trying to do my like my little research and I saw Crusade got I guess was it re-released then in
It was
2016?
re-released. Yeah, yep,
2016?
yeah. So it came out. I want to say like 2000. I should know this stuff.
No, you're good. I
It,
should know it. That's my bad.
um, yeah, Crusade came out around 2010, 2011. Yeah, I'm usually really good with this stuff, but
You're
and
all
then
good.
on an independent label that's no longer around. And then once we started releasing records with Closed Casket Activities,
Yeah.
um, he picked it up, re-released it, repackaged it, and kind of gave it a more a bigger audience, bigger push, bigger pressing, and made it available again to people.
Yeah.
So that's probably why you're seeing that. But yeah,
Was like starting out, was there like I feel like you guys have a pretty unique like metal hardcore sound. Like it's not just like a guy screaming into the microphone. Like there's actually like a real power to the music. Is there
yeah,
like any like bands like are you guys like huge Silent Majority Like was there any like bands that
definitely.
you guys are like really into that pushed you guys to get your sound now?
Yeah, definitely. We all listen to like different shit, obviously, but the stuff that we really agree on and like always kind of really agreed on was like the kind of like 90s more metallic hardcore. So
Hmm.
things like Strife, things like Vision of Disorder, things like Indecision, Snapcase, Buried Alive, Earth Crisis, 108. That's a big one. That type of like more metallic 90s hardcore is really the stuff that we all kind of agreed on and what really kind of shaped the sound of the band and the influences we had. We all love stuff like Silent Majority.
Yeah.
Probably ethically, I think Silent Majority in the way that they kind of developed the scene on Long Island, and we're probably influenced by them in that way, and less so sonically.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly all the stuff that came off Long Island has a big influence on us too.
Gotcha. That's a cool scene to be into. Like, how did you kind of get into did you always grow up in Long Island then or that
Yeah,
area? So
yeah,
were
yeah.
you going to shows at a young age or?
Yeah, man, I got really lucky. Honestly, like it was really just kind of like a product of my circumstances and location. Like, um, I grew up in Incendiary on Long Island, which is like kind of central Suffolk County. It's near Stony Brook. If anybody knows where that is, it's kind of a
Hmm.
big landmark. But
Yeah.
um, I just so happened to live walking distance from an independent record store called None of the Above Records in Center Reach that kind of specialized in punk and hardcore and metal. And, when I'm, 12, 13, 14 years old, before I can drive a car, before the internet, like, it was really this like gateway into finding all of the shit that, I'd become obsessed with and really would kind of like, shape my path moving forward. Like I would go in there and be able to see flyers of shows that were coming up, grab a free sampler CD and just get exposed to a bunch of stuff, pick up a 7-inch and be able to hear what a band sounded like. So, really just be growing up in close proximity to such like a unique resource and place like None of the Above Records is really what gave me a head start. And, a lot of people, I think this is kind of common, but like, people always have like older brothers that kind of put them onto stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't have an older brother per se, but my friend had an older brother who was very into underground hardcore and the stuff that was going on Long Island. So, I would borrow mixtapes from him or he would put me onto stuff. And that's really how I, first heard like Vision of Disorder and Gorilla Biscuits and Silent Majority. And like, you know, it was through him. And
Hmm.
it's actually cool because we've reconnected over the last couple of years. And both of them, my friend and his older brother, actually came out to the show we played a couple of weeks ago with Vision of Disorder on Long Island. So it was like
I
this
was gonna
really
say
cool.
that's a like a
Yeah.
sweet reminiscence. I saw that flyer. That was sick.
Yeah, it was a really cool kind of like full circle thing. I got to tell him, it's like, dude, I wouldn't be here doing this shit if it wasn't for you guys and the tapes that you hooked me up with back in like seventh grade. So it was cool.
Did you guys play with them a lot, or was that your first time? Or
Vision of Disorder.
yeah.
Yeah, we actually have played with them a few times. Obviously never, kind of when they were initially a band on their first run, but
Hmm.
we've played a handful of their reunion shows. I want to say I want to say 3 times. Um, We definitely played one at Revolution on Long Island. I think we played one in the city at Gramercy Theater, and then just this third one a few weeks ago at the Paramount on Long Island, which was easily the biggest and best.
Yeah, that's sick. So for like what for Incinerary, like even like the new album, like there's so many songs. Like I like how you guys are cycling out and still using like old tracks, but it's nice too because I feel like the fans really do appreciate your new music too. I feel like a lot of times with like hardcore bands, it's super hard to keep putting out albums, and especially I one thing that I really like about you guys is you guys actually put out like albums like, 8, 12 songs. And a lot of people just do the EPs because it keeps people interested. Or do you guys the goal is to keep putting out LPs and stuff or
Dude, I'm really glad you said a lot of that. Well, first of all, like we're really honestly like blessed to have a fourth LP
Mhm.
that people still seem to be connecting with. And, there's a couple tracks that, go over in our live set just as well as the old material.
Yeah.
I know with hardcore, a lot of times there's a thing where like, it's like, oh, the demo's better. I always like the old shit better.
Yeah,
And like,
exactly.
dude, we're fortunate. Like not the case with us. Like people
Yeah.
really seem to like the new stuff, and that's really a gift, especially going into a fourth LP. It's kind of like we knew that going into. It's like, yo, this is kind of rare territory to have a fourth LP from a hardcore band. There's not that many that really pulled it off.
It's like a little club almost, I feel like like the 4
Yeah,
LP club.
yeah. But we wanted to do it. Like modern consumption definitely changes. I don't know if putting out LPs of music is the best way to kind of capture the attention of like the modern listener, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like I'm a little bit selfish about it too because like this is also like for me and like my thing, and
Hmm.
I like putting out LPs, right? Like I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
having this kind of the way I want to present the material is in this kind of like larger focused way. It has a sequence to it. Everything is like intentional with the sequencing and the track listing and stuff. And does that hurt or help in 2025? I don't really know, but I know it's the way that like I wanted to release that batch of songs we have was an LP. I do
So,
think LPs are also taken, or at least they used to be, kind of taken with a bit more gravity. I think
mhm.
they tend to there's a little more anticipation around it, and I think people kind of treat it with a little more respect because of the amount of labor and work that goes into the process of making one. Um, Maybe I'm off base with that. Maybe that's just the way that I always perceive them, but again, part of this is for me too, and
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
the way I wanted this stuff to come out.
I totally agree with you too about just taking it more from an LP standpoint. I mean, as a record collector, I know a handful of record collectors that like w refuse to buy 7 inches. So like
Yeah.
even just from like merch vinyl sales, which is huge in the hardcore community, I just like that's one of my favorite things about it. I feel like I like all the pressings. I like that people love consuming physical media, and I feel
Hmm.
like it's the one genre that like almost if you go to a hardcore crowd, at least half the crowd probably is owns a record of one of the bands playing, which I think is really cool. So I think it's awesome that I don't know. I feel like it's really cool that hardcore is still consuming media like that. I mean, you see even these like small little bands putting out cassettes and like they're still
Yep.
selling out, which is sick. But if you have
Yeah,
like
it's cool.
it's like the one genre that people really can still consume the media, which
Yeah, I think it's important. I think having something physical to accompany the music is a big part of it, especially when you're like making it. Like, there is a visual and a way that you want people to ideally kind of sit with and connect with the music you're making.
mhm.
But yeah, I mean, 7 inches. I mean, I was saying before, like growing up, like that's pre-internet. That's how I used to like check out bands.
Yeah,
Like you could pick them up for like 3 4 bucks at the record shop, and like it's not too much of an investment, and I can like hear what a band sounds like and decide if I want to pick out the LP, right? Like, and I agree with you though. I think 7 inches are going extinct a little bit just because of the cost it takes to produce them. I know in many cases it's almost like more cost effective to press a one-sided LP
mhm.
that you can sell for a price that'll help you make your money back rather than a 3 song 7 inch. And you can expand on the artwork a little bit that way. But
Absolutely.
yeah, dude, being punk metal hardcore being one of the few remaining things genres that actually sell records is a huge blessing and advantage.
I couldn't agree with you more. Okay. All right. Okay. 314. All right. So just going back in for Incendiary. When you guys are recording new LPs, I think I saw an interview. I could be wrong. Do you guys live together to record or like kind of stay together, or am I thinking something else?
So we'll like, yeah, we're again like with our schedules and makes our process like a little unorthodox. Like the last two records we recorded with Will Putney, and from Thousand Mile Stare and into the last one, Change the Way You Think About Pain. Like
Mm,
he moved studios, but it was the same kind of setup where like he has lodging and a place to stay for bands at his studio. So we're able to kind of go in there and lock in and just kind of like live it for a few days at a time, and really kind of maximize the time we have together. You know, Many bands might go in there and lock in for a
yeah.
few weeks or a month at a time,
Yeah.
but we were doing it on kind of like long weekends. We would do we drive up on like a Thursday night, stay there, wake up Friday, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, work, go home for the week, get back to our jobs, careers, lives, whatever we got going on, and then do it again the next weekend. So yeah, we were kind of like, I guess, kind of living together
Yeah. Yeah.
for at least a couple long weekends while
Yeah.
we were doing it. And honestly, it was an amazing experience. I I'm on record as saying like recording is like kind of my least favorite part of the whole band thing.
Yeah.
But Will makes it like really easy and really comfortable. And, having a studio like that where, and the way he kind of like the hospitality he has towards bands really makes it comfortable.
You guys basically, from the recording process, you guys have a pretty core four, to say the least, of
Yeah.
from the start, which I feel like would help. Have you found it easier or harder as the time goes on? Because I feel like progression wise, it's easier because you feel more comfortable. But at the same time, like, do you ever feel like you're kind of running out of material or like, oh shit, like we kind of already did this, or you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because I feel like sometimes it's a little repetitive in music, not you guys, I'm saying in
Hmm.
general, in the scene, like you'll hear a song and I'll be like, no, like I swear that was on their last album.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely a concern, right?
yeah,
And I don't know, with our band, like I don't think we would have done a record unless we had material that we were ready to record and release, like
yeah,
we're always kind of refining that process and thinking about it in the background. At least I am. And like, there's no like, there's no like pressure or timelines for us to like release new music. That's why they come out as infrequently as they do. It's like it'll
yeah,
come out when we have something to say, something we think is worth sharing. That could be 2 years, that could be 5 years, it could be 10 years. I don't know. But, I think that kind of helps stave that off. But, in every record, or I guess really just the last two, there was really kind of like a thesis, or like I don't want to say vision, but kind of just like a trend line going
Hmm.
through it that
Yeah.
helped really guide the process. Like with Thousand Mile Stare, it was kind of like, okay, people seem to really like cost of living. How do we like kind of grow that? And also like, what didn't we do there on that one that like we should try to do here? Is it a different type of tempo? Is it a different type of guitar tone or texture? Is it a vocally driven thing? Like, just trying to like check some boxes and see like, what didn't we get to do on the last one? Let's try to do that now. And then going into the last record, it was, like I was saying earlier, kind of just being aware that of the position we're in, going into like a fourth LP for like an aging hardcore band, if you will.
Hmm.
Like, I think the expectation for a band in that position is like, all right, they're fourth LP, they're going to Europe a lot. Like, here comes the anthemic, whoa, whoa, whoa choruses, and it's going to get a little, they're going to like round the edges off a little bit. They're going to kind
Yeah.
of lose the, and I was like, nah, like if that's like even a thought of an expectation, like we have to go the other way. And everything about this record needs to be like harsher, more abrasive, more aggressive, and just like more raw and just like angrier. Like it just had to be like heavier and more extreme in every way to kind of defy that expectation. So I think having some type of like guiding light or like theme also helps kind of make sure and check create some checks and balances that you're not just repeating something that you've done on a prior release.
Gotcha. That's a good point. Just in terms of just growth of the band itself, like knowing yourselves and knowing what you guys want to do, and you guys have a very distinct sound that you guys actually want to follow and carry that on, which I appreciate that about you guys a lot.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it
Go.
was really kind of like I almost regret saying it earlier in the process, but like we were like, yeah, I feel like we like refined the sound. Like there's no like
Hmm.
hard left turns or like crazy departures from what we used to do, but it just feels like sharper in every direction. And after we released it and we were kind of socialized saying that out loud, and like I don't know, I think it might have like discounted a little bit, but like I really think we did. Like we didn't really change anything. We just kind of made it sharper and the strongest version of what we had.
I gotcha. I have an oddball question, just because in
Yeah.
terms we're talking about albums, recording, and stuff. Huge thing about hardcore is the splits. Is there like a dream split that, like, looking back at it? I know you guys did a few in, like, what was it, like early 2010s roughly?
Yeah.
Is there like a band that you would love to do a split with now, like that you guys have grown so much and have the opportunity to kind of pick one?
Yeah. To be honest, like we've joked, first of all, so yeah, we did three split 7 inches.
Hmm.
Um, and you might be asking, why would you do three split 7 inches? No band should do three split 7 inches. And you'd probably be right. The answer is that was really the only opportunities we had at that time to release new music. Like, again, like prior to cost of living, like, you know, the phone wasn't ringing really, like labels weren't exactly banging down our door trying to release music for us. So when one would say like, hey, I have a band, I can release a split 7 inch with you guys in this other band, what do you think? We just said, yeah, we would say yes, and that turned into three 7 inches. So we've kind of vowed to never do a split 7 inch again.
Okay, fair enough.
Because, um but on that same token, we've also said any like we're not gonna we'll never do a split 7 inch again unless you get someone like Lamb of God. So I guess I would say Lamb of God would be my answer. If Lamb of God asks, we're fucking down. And like we're fortunate that we've been able to cross paths and play a couple shows with those guys over the last few years. So maybe it's not as as far for reach as I used to think it was.
That'd be a really cool sound though, because I mean,
Yeah,
Rainey's such a good guy too. Like I can't imagine, like, if that actually was brought up, he probably would be down.
dude, he's cool as fuck, man. He got us on. I mean, they've they and I think mostly driven by him have been trying to get us on some shows for years, and then, but again, our schedules just don't really align with how full time that band is.
Yeah.
But they got us on an after show that they played in Vegas last year from that Sick New World festival,
Oh, that's
and
sick.
it was really all him, man. He's like, I want these guys to play. Got us on the show, hung out after, wanted merch. Like he's just like the real deal. Like
Yeah.
for a guy in his position and a band at that level, like to give a fuck who's opening his after show, let alone advocate for a hardcore band that he thinks is cool. Like
Yeah.
nothing but respect for that guy and that band. And we're all huge Lamb of God fans,
Yeah.
also. So that definitely helped.
Absolutely. Did you guys play Sick New World then
We
last
did,
year?
yeah,
Oh,
last
that's
year.
was that probably one of the bigger festivals that you guys have played then?
In the U.S., yeah, we've done a few like that. In Europe by now, but up until that point, yeah, that was one of the bigger ones in the U.S.
The first time I actually ever saw you guys was at a festival. It was
Which one?
adjacent festival in Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah, that was cool. That was a great weekend, man. Like
Dude, it was
that
just
was
it was
that was
odd. It
the
was
weekend. Yeah, that was the weekend that the last record came out. Like the record came
mhm.
out on that Friday, and I think either we played the Saturday or the Sunday. So
Yeah.
that was a really fun, like, we had a lot of steam going into that, a lot of excitement because the record had just come out, and it was a great way to kind of celebrate with a lot of friends that were in the house too.
Yeah, I think it was cool too. Like Vinny played, and there was a lot of
Mhm.
they actually that lineup itself I felt like was really strong. Like
Oh
for the
yeah,
first time. I mean, I know they haven't done it since, but I mean, you get like Blink 182, but then you also have like Beach Bunny, then you have I Am the Avalanche. Like it was just cool, like the mix
yeah,
of music that they actually
something
had
for
there.
everybody, and like thank God it was a nice day because
Oh yeah, it
like
would have been brutal.
yeah, it was like literally for those that the uninitiated. It was like literally on the beach. Like if you're in the crowd, you're standing on the sand in the
Mhm.
beach. Playing on the beach was amazing. Such a cool like visual experience and like memory I'll never forget. Seeing what that looked like playing out on a stage like that. But yeah, thank God the weather held up, man. Because if it was anything less than a perfect day, that might have been that might have
Yeah.
gone the other direction.
And you guys didn't really have anywhere, like I feel like outside either. There wasn't really like anywhere for you guys to take cover at either, or at least too much.
Uh,
You guys had that little VIP area, which wasn't
yeah,
huge.
yeah, we were kicking it back at the casino a lot of the day.
Fair enough. Did you
Let's
guys
say
watch any
that.
bands then?
Yeah, I watched a bunch. I remember watching. I watched Thursday, which I enjoyed. I watched Movie Life and Avalanche. I think we were kind of like side by side with them.
You were, yeah. You were on the
Yeah,
left side, and Avalanche was on the right. I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
remember. Yeah, Turnstile. I mean, they're just insane live always, and it's always cool seeing like where they're at now, and it's always better. I remember that set. Um, yeah, a couple others, but yeah, we managed to check out a few bands.
I feel like going back to what you said about the kind of like the joke about like, oh, I like their early stuff better. That's really coming out with the Turnstile right now. Like people are
Yeah,
really like harsh on their new album, which I think it's actually
really.
really good.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
just like hardcore fans, like I feel like a lot of people, I think it's good what they're doing for the scene, just with growing it, just in terms
yeah,
of it's not really, it might not even be an underground scene anymore, which is cool. At the same time, it does suck a little bit, but you're still gonna always have those hometown shows that people want to play. I mean, it's always
yeah.
up to the band.
Totally. Listen, nobody is born with a fucking Minor Threat 7-inch in their hand. Like people have to be put onto it somehow. And if Turnstile is going to be their entry point, like that's fucking good for everybody. And if you care about hardcore and the culture of it, like you should understand that, the more the more people that get exposed to it, that's going to be good for everybody in the long run. Not everybody who hears it is going to stick around forever and be at your shows
Exactly.
forever.
Yep.
There's going to be plenty of flaky fly by night people that'll drop out in a year, but you can hope that there's going to be a few kids that hear of it get put onto hardcore through Turnstile and then find your band. So I got nothing but respect for Turnstile. I think they're great.
Absolutely. Just as a guitarist itself, was there like a genre that you would start out like with practicing? Because I feel like hardcore is a pretty harsh genre to practice by yourself and like metal itself, or was there like a few
Yeah.
songs that you kind of practice like with scales and stuff, or
I mean, never anything as like formal as like learning scales or like reading music and stuff. But like, yeah, when I first started playing, it was, I guess kind of like alternative starter pack stuff like Nirvana and Green
hmm
Day. I always felt like Nirvana. I always recommend people who are like starting to play guitar too to like learn Nirvana songs too because their songs are so like um kind of like simple
yeah,
and you can and everybody knows how they go, right? Like everybody knows how Come As You Are is supposed to sound. So it can kind of really allow you to hear if what you're playing is right or not. And you'll feel cool too because you can play a Nirvana song pretty easily. And they teach you a few basic chords like basic power chords and bar chords and stuff like that. So yeah, I was learning with stuff like that. And a big part of the way I learned, again, pre-internet was Guitar World magazine.
okay,
It was a magazine that every month would have a handful of like tabs in it. it would just be like five random songs, usually something that was, recent or relevant, or had just been released or on the radio. So every month I would get Guitar World magazine and just learn the songs that were in that had tabs in there, whether I liked the songs or not, just to
Yeah.
kind of like teach myself and give me something to do. So I think a lot of it, how I learned, came from that too.
Is it like super? I remember we talked about at the merch, me, you, and Hembo, about like this was when we were at Night Sports at the TVI. This was like the first time that like you actually don't have to protect yourself on stage.
Yeah,
Did it feel like different playing a show like Night Sports? Because I still feel like
yeah,
everyone else is
oh
like
yeah.
pretty chill, but like you were still like you wanted to leg kick. Like I know you had it in you
Oh,
that
really?
like
I didn't. Yeah, that's interesting that you detected that. I don't know. Like, I know how to play guitar like one way basically.
yeah,
And a lot of it comes from the energy coming off the crowd too. I think there's like
absolutely.
kind of
Yeah.
like an energy exchange. But yeah, I mean, it was, you know, I love playing with Incendiary. It's the best shit ever. Like that
Yeah.
kind of like release is probably why I'm not a psycho in real life. But yeah, that was one of the that was one of the things I noticed too. It's like, oh, it's nice like not having to like protect my gear and
Hmm.
my drummer and
Yeah.
Brendan. But yeah, listen, I love it all. It's all good.
Yeah, like your pedals might not even get stepped on the whole night. Like
Yeah, barely
that's
even use it any. I don't
that
even like. I barely have to use any gear. Just kind of plug right in. It's amazing. It's very low. Yeah, it's very low stress, low lift.
when you first started playing guitar, is it like overwhelming, like just like learning about like all the different pedals? Because I feel like it's more of a science than people think it is.
Um, it's as overwhelming as you want to as you make it.
Yeah.
Like I've only more recently kind of really gotten into um the live sound and the tone stuff.
Hmm.
But even that, like, I mean, there's people who are like constantly chasing tones and testing pedals and like making elaborate pedal boards and stuff. And like, I don't know, like you can definitely find your sound with less if you want.
Yeah.
There's a saying I hear and been believing more and more recently that tone is in the hands. And I think there's something to that. You can give the same guitar to two different guys and it'll sound totally different. So I don't know. I think it's as complicated as you want to make it. If you're a nerd about it and you love it and you're down to kind of like take the risk of like having more things that can go wrong live, then you can have a lot of fun experimenting with shit. But you just gotta be practical too. If you're flying out to shows and playing festivals where you're borrowing gear and stuff like that, like you got to find something that's pretty universal and streamlined. That's going to be dependable and work for you live. There's things that might sound great and seem fun in the practice space, but then when you get into like a real situation, it may not be as reasonable to use all that stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say practically speaking, like less is usually more.
I gotcha. Just in terms of like you're saying like festivals and going to shows and stuff, what is like your ideal, like you guys can kind of pick and choose now, like you could either support a bigger band or you can play a small town show or a festival. Is it always going to be that small town show for you guys that you guys like absolutely love to play? Like the crowd's always there?
I mean, to be honest, like I like it all, and I think one of the things that really keeps us engaged is the variety of shows that we can play.
Hmm.
Like I like having a good balance and mix of everything, and we're very fortunate that like we have opportunities to do it all. I mean, I just look at the run of shows that we just had in May, and like that's a pretty perfect example of what I'm talking about. It started with Hello, that's a fucking Less Than Jake record. Welcome to Rockville in
Yeah.
Daytona, which is like a big radio rock festival on the fucking racetrack with like Green Day headlining,
Yeah.
big rock concert festival vibe. It's cool to tap into that and get to experience that and play to people and fans that go to something like that. And then, the next weekend we were supporting Nails and Terror down in Baltimore,
That
two of
was
the biggest
sick.
bands. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it was
that was a
unreal.
great show.
You get to do a show like that where we're getting to play to something that's a little more close to home, but bands that we've grown up looking up to and becoming friends with over the years, and participate in something like that. Then the VOD show, which is again kind of like a hometown thing, supporting like an older generation band and somebody we looked up to. And then as we're recording this tomorrow, we have a headlining show in Jersey where we could put some of our friends on the bill.
Yep.
Jersey's always been great to us. Play a bit longer of a set. So, I really think it's always about the balance for me. I like getting to do it all. I like having a good variety. I I don't, supporting things all the time. You don't get to do. I'm trying to think the way to say this. Like you have more control when
Yeah.
it's your thing and you're headlining, but like then it also you inherit all of the responsibility for it too in making it a good show and making it successful. So sometimes it's nice to just plug in and play on somebody else's show. Other
Yeah.
times it's nice to really kind of curate this whole thing. Like our last New York City show proper was at Bowery Ballroom last summer, and that was like a really good experience. We were pretty specific in like the type of venue we wanted, the type of bands we wanted. We had all of our friends making merch for us for it, and it really kind of felt like this thing we were pulling everybody in, and it went great. So it's yeah, it's about the balance. I like it all honestly, and I like having a good mix of it.
So like for Saturday, like or tomorrow, I will be there as well. It's like, do you guys handpick kind of the other bands that are going to be playing, like or is it more of a promoter thing that does it?
It's both for sure, but like we've always been very hands on with
Okay.
the lineups of our headlining shows, and really kind of just hands on with like all aspects of it in general.
Yeah. Like I like that
One,
about you guys. You guys do the
yeah,
merch, like you guys come out and say hi, sign stuff, take pictures. Like I think
yeah. I
that's
mean, that
cool
shit is
too.
like that's like not like that's not like a strat. It's just how we are.
Yeah.
But appreciate you saying that. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think it's just it's the way we kind of like the way we operate in regular life. Like Brendan and I are very hands on with this stuff, just because we kind of like feel like we like need to be and don't
Hmm.
necessarily want other people doing it. But at the same time, it's nice to have help once in a while. And promoters are usually good at knowing what's going to work for their scene and their venue and stuff. And the other thing is like we don't really get to play that many shows, so I feel like every one that we do, there's a bit more gravity to it, right?
Hmm.
Because like it's not like oh well, we're playing here in 2 months, we'll just do it then. Like every time we play a show, I do not know the next time if ever we'll ever be back there. So we kind of have this really like nihilistic approach to it, where like
Yeah.
everyone might be the last one for a while, so let's go hard and make it as special as we can.
Do you guys have like a goal going into the year? Like there's like you guys would want to play like, 10, 15 shows a year. Like, is it the goal just to keep playing enough that like, not that you like lose it, but enough to kind of keep the name out there at least?
Yeah, the goals are usually like it's honestly like as much as possible,
Okay.
and sometimes that looks like 20 shows a year. Sometimes it looks like 10. Sometimes it might look like 5. But like we've always been on the same page with putting as much of our free time into this as possible. So like internally, sometimes it feels like we're doing a lot, even though externally it doesn't look like it at all. But yeah, we're always just trying to do as much. We're always kind of thinking about, new places. Like where haven't we been yet? Can we cross a new city off the list? Can we cross a new country off the list this year? And then balancing that with like, where are some places that have treated us really well that we want to kind of go back to and,
Mm.
try to grow it, try to grow the shows that we had there.
After this show tomorrow, you guys are kind of, is there much on the table just in terms of announced stuff at least? Any?
Um, not really. Yeah, we had this nice little run in May.
Yeah,
We're going to be laying low for like most of the summer. We're doing 2 shows in Canada with Comeback Kid in September.
that's cool.
Um, yeah, that's gonna be awesome,
That's
man.
cool. Yeah.
It's their 20th the 20th anniversary of Wake the Dead. This run that they've been doing
Yeah.
all year, and I mean Toronto and Montreal. They're from Canada. It's like two of our favorite cities up there, and we love Comeback Kid, man. Like they've been so good to us for so long, and like always ask us to do things, and we just never can again because they're a full-time touring machine, and we just don't really rock that way.
Yeah.
But we were able to make these work, and we're really excited to go back to Toronto and be able to do it with them. So that's going to be cool and special. You can count on our holiday show happening in Amityville in December. Maybe another show or two before the end of the year, but yeah, nothing. I'm not. There's nothing secret going on that I can't announce yet or anything like that.
I gotcha. I know Hembo was saying that you guys have some stuff coming up for Night Sports. Are you looking forward to keep recording and trying to finish that first album then?
Yeah, man. Like again, like it's all about the balance for me, and like that's been such a fun outlet of you know, because you can tell the way I talk about Incendiary, like I kind of like overthink everything, and it's just always happening. Like Night Sports has been such a like just plug it in and play with my boys and have fun
Yeah.
band. That it's really like, you know, it keeps me sharp and it keeps me playing and it keeps me you know, engaged. Playing music, whether it's just going to practice or playing a show, is like there's nothing I'd rather be doing with my time, and that really kind of allows me to be doing that when Incendiary is not doing as much.
From like a scheduling perspective, though, that has to be a brutal schedule to kind of, I mean, basically like two huge tattoo artists and then four guys that are just in bands that are always touring,
Yeah,
especially Jim and Vinny. Like they're in so many different bands and just touring,
it's yeah.
touring,
Jim's
touring.
schedule is insane. Yeah, to answer your question, it is scheduling is difficult. um, but yeah, again, like everybody likes doing it. Everybody likes getting it in where it fits in. And you know, I think we're pretty clear on what we want to do. We have a bunch of songs already recorded,
Mhm.
and we want to do a couple more. We want to have an LP, and then we want to, you know, play some shows and support that LP.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it, Bri.
Yeah, dude, whenever you want. And like I said, man, if there's anybody that you know, you're trying to connect with that you think I might be able to help, happy to put in a word for you.
Cool. Thank you. I'm just going to do a quick outro then. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks again, Bri. I really appreciate you coming through. Uh, Again, all the links below, there'll be Incendiary links, Night Sports links. Go support the albums, go to the shows. I mean, that's the best way to listen to that kind of music is just go to the shows, meet everyone, meet the scene, be on it. Thanks again, and have a good day. See you guys.